Think about it, he too easy to hate on. He was doing good in Canada. He dancing with his white friend, Jewish uncle. They having bar mitzvahs, good investments. You feel me?
Yeah.
His mama family got that check. Kendrick going through it, bro.
Yeah.
He had a rough life. That's too, Drake shouldn't have messed with him anyway. You don't start no with nobody from Compton. Hell no. They've been running the rap game since '91.
Right.
Why would you do that? Out of all the people to beef with?
Not Like Us is already aging like fine wine. And it hasn't even been that long since Kendrick had the whole world dancing on Drake's grave. It looks like Drake's about to go out as badly as Milli Vanilli, because he's become the first person in rap beef history to file an 81-page lawsuit against Universal Music Group, UMG, over an Ops song. He claims that Not Like Us wasn't just defamatory, but that it caused a ripple effect that wrecked his personal life. According to Drake, the song led to his son, Adonis, getting harassed and taunted in public, making life difficult for his family. Drake is clearly not playing around this time. If he'd released new music, gone on live streams, or dropped some viral TikTok bops and not let this Kendrick beef consume him, people might have moved on a long time ago. But Drake can't seem to let go of the fact that Kendrick, someone he didn't think was on his level, managed to wipe the floor with him in such a public way. His die-hard fans may want to forget that Drake had been taunting Kendrick, thinking that after Family Matters he'd put his rival in his place. But now, Drake is taking out his frustrations on his record label, UMG, one of the biggest labels in the world. According to the lawsuit, Drake claims his life was completely shattered due to Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. He went on to describe a violent incident that occurred on May 7, 2024, when a group of armed attackers sprayed his Toronto mansion with bullets while Drake and his family were inside. One bullet hit the front door, and a security guard was struck and had to be rushed to the hospital. The very next day, another intruder tried to dig a hole under the mansion's security fence with his bare hands, and it's only thanks to Drake's security team that the situation didn't escalate further. While Drake's history in Toronto includes some shady dealings, such as conflicts with Cash XO, he pinned—
What is the next move for Drake?
Lawsuit.
No.
He's gonna sue. Listen.
Why? He needs to sue all the investigators on Twitter have been pulling all the stories.
The investigators on Twitter ain't got to lose. Let me tell you something. Drake is half white.
Exactly.
Okay?
This is what
Y'all about to
talking
learn.
about
He's
things.
gonna
Drake mama's side of the family is like, oh no, Aubrey. No. This man is out here calling you a pedophile.
Not
Listen,
Aubrey.
there's probably people at Nike. There's probably people at Universal. There's people that got real vested interest in Drake. That is a multi-billion dollar entity.
Yeah.
They're like, you gotta protect your name. All that rap. Yeah. Call your cousin. Call your cousin. Who's the
all these recent attacks on UMG. He alleges that the label pushed Not Like Us into the mainstream despite knowing about the violence his family was enduring. According to Drake, UMG prioritized profits over artist safety, continuing to promote the song even after they were made aware of the threats against him. Drake argues that UMG's decision to promote Kendrick's song was part of a larger strategy to damage his reputation, especially as Kendrick had just renewed his contract with Interscope Records, a unit of UMG. Since they own Kendrick's catalog, the label had a financial incentive to push the song to the top of the charts, benefiting from the song's success. While continuing to damage Drake's image, the song's rise was swift and even non-rap fans were vibing to it. But for Drake, the song's impact was more than just a cultural moment. It became a weapon. As the song gained traction, accusations against Drake began to pick up more weight, with people digging into his past to back up Kendrick's claims. It got so bad that the song started affecting his son, Adonis. People at Adonis's school heard the song and started bullying him, even posting flyers around Drake's Toronto neighborhood calling him a PDF. Drake got so worried about his son's safety that he pulled him out of elementary school and even arranged for his family to leave Toronto entirely. Drake mentioned how the song led to awful comments about Adonis, but what's crazy is that he never seemed to consider how his own track Family Matters would affect Kendrick's family, especially when he directly called Kendrick a wife-beater. Meanwhile, Drake himself has been caught up in some questionable behavior with younger women, with the evidence being widely available online for millions to see. At first, UMG refused to respond to Drake's allegations, but when it became clear He wasn't backing down. The label issued a statement. They called Drake's claims untrue and blasted him for attempting to silence creative expression through legal means. They pointed out that throughout his career, Drake had used UMG to distribute his music and engage in back-and-forth rap battles. Now, according to them, Drake is trying to weaponize the legal system to punish a fellow artist for simply expressing themselves. The situation is rapidly escalating, and Drake's stance against UMG, along with the ripple effects of the Kendrick feud, raises some serious questions about his next move. Could this lawsuit truly shift the balance of power in the music industry? Or will it only make things worse for Drake in the long run? Only time will tell. But if Family Matters had been the bigger song back in 2014, this allegation against Kendrick could have seriously damaged his reputation and personal life. Kendrick has already faced his own set of allegations, and one of the more infamous rumors circulating was that he had been involved in a confrontation with a white woman while he was in Vegas. Word on the street is that Kendrick's PR team quickly swooped in to handle the situation, reportedly forcing the woman to settle and ensuring that all evidence of the incident was scrubbed from the internet. At the time, Kendrick was engaged to Whitney, and this incident could have caused significant damage to both his public image and his relationship. If Family Matters had gained more traction during that period, Kendrick would have been under even more scrutiny. The kind of allegations and personal drama that can easily explode into public gossip could have been manipulated to undermine Kendrick's standing in the industry. There's always been a fine line for rappers like Kendrick, who have to balance their public persona with their personal life. And in situations like these, a single misstep, real or fabricated, can create a storm that's hard to weather. Luckily, for Kendrick, the public narrative didn't focus on this particular incident at the time. But if the stakes had been higher with Family Matters being a massive hit, it might have been a completely different story. The track could have been weaponized not just against his career, but in ways that could have really hurt him and those closest to him. It's fascinating to think about how one song's impact could have shifted the trajectory of a rapper's career, especially when allegations.
I was told to go up to her room to help some girl get down to the casino because she was scared. She ends up being all bloody and everything. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, it was lovely. So I'm like, oh, crap. And so I had to call, like, my supervisor, then I had to call my other supervisor, then I had to call my boss. And I was like, we got a situation. Because, like, half of her face was, like, blown out, pretty much. Oh, so God. I'm like, oh, lovely. And come to find out, she was with a certain rapper who had...
was his first name Lil?
No.
That'll narrow it down.
His first name was Kendrick.
Beat some guy bloody and did something to some...
like the one with the woman in Vegas, are brought into the conversation. Kendrick's PR team and his inner circle clearly worked overtime to control the narrative surrounding him. But it shows just how important it is for an artist to maintain a flawless public image, especially when you're dealing with intense rivalries and industry pressures. The whole situation serves as a reminder of the delicate balance artists must strike between their personal lives and the public persona they cultivate, something that both Kendrick and Drake have learned the hard way. There's also another story that surfaced about Kendrick stepping out on his wife with a woman in Copenhagen, adding to the whirlwind of drama around his personal life. Kendrick himself addressed his struggles with addiction in his album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, where he openly spoke about his past demons. If Family Matters had been as successful as Kendrick's other tracks, his family life could have been completely upended. Accusations of domestic violence are serious, and they could have had a major impact on his reputation, especially given the way people seize on negative stories in the media. In the middle of all this, Drake's lawsuit against UMG is essentially a reflection of his refusal to accept that he took an L in his beef with Kendrick. Drake is trying to frame his lawsuit as a crusade against the system, positioning himself as someone who's fighting for artists and their rights. But let's be real here. Drake's never exactly been the type to rally for others, especially when it could mean losing a little bit of his own shine. The reality is, Drake has benefited from similar tactics throughout his career. He's used beefs and rivalries to fuel his success, and he's been more than willing to let others take the heat while he reaps the rewards. Now, when he's on the receiving end of a public loss to Kendrick, he's trying to flip the script and make it about a larger fight against the music industry. But no matter how he frames it, it's clear that Drake's real motivation is his own ego. He simply can't admit that Kendrick came out on top. This whole situation is a perfect example of how power dynamics work in the music industry, and how artists like Drake are willing to turn to legal battles and public disputes to maintain their image. But in the end, it's not about standing up for artists. It's about protecting his brand and reputation at any cost.
Female. Yeah. And they said they had evidence and all of this, and then I never heard anything about it again.
Yeah, because it's foolishness. That's the most ignorant stuff I've ever heard made up.
I was like, Kendrick did that? I doubt it.
And, you know, that person who ever made that up owes an apology. Not to me, but to women that actually go out there and get a. You dig what I'm saying? That's a real issue. And to be putting a person name like that, you know, stands for someone way more better, that's been raised and way more better.
Drake has been accused of outright stealing songs and content from lesser-known artists. And now he's using his lawsuit to target only certain creators, specifically Black creators like Kai Cat, while leaving out others like XQC and Odin, Ross, who also helped review and promote Not Like Us. It's clear that Drake is using this lawsuit to apply pressure, not just on UMG, but on advertisers and even Super Bowl organizers to prevent Kendrick from performing Not Like Us on one of the biggest stages in the world. If somehow, some way, Drake manages to get the upper hand and win this case, it could set a dangerous precedent for the music industry.
This whole conversation that's been positioned about Drake doing this to help other artists is not about no other artists, it's about himself. Had he won the battle, he would have not filed nothing. He would have not filed nothing. Instead of saying soft, they say Drake.
It would put a huge limit on the kind of content rappers can release, making them constantly worry about being sued for expressing themselves creatively. This would radically change the dynamics of the industry, where every song or lyric could be scrutinized for legal implications before it's even heard by the public. In the end, Drake's legal battle seems more about silencing Kendrick and maintaining control over the narrative than protecting artists' rights.
Now, I'm a Drake fan. Everybody knows that, right? This is not a good thing for Drake. It can't be, right? I don't care what his fans try to say. It can't be. Drake can never defeat UMG. There is no artist that can defeat UMG. You can't.
If he wins, it might not just impact his beef with Kendrick. It could have far-reaching effects on how the music industry handles creativity and expression moving forward. People are really starting to call out Drake because for someone who claims to be all about the culture, his true colors are showing in a way that doesn't sit right. At this point, Drake has done more to promote Not Like Us than Kendrick or UMG ever could have. In fact, he's the one keeping the beef alive, preventing hip-hop from moving on and evolving past this moment. It's ironic because, in a sense, the money that Black creators have made off this beat,
it can't.
And folks are calling out Drake because for someone that claimed he's all about the culture, his other side is starting to show real bad. At this point, Drake has done more to promote Not Like Us than Kendrick or UMG has. He's the only one preventing hip-hop from moving on from this moment. The amount of money
is probably the most Drake has ever given back to the culture, yet he's the one trying to shut it all down. What's even more telling is how Drake got labeled a colonizer in the hip-hop beef, a term used to describe someone who takes from the culture without truly giving back to it. And instead of addressing these criticisms, his response has been to hit back with the legal system, trying to control the narrative through lawsuits rather than letting the culture speak for itself. It's pretty wild when you think about it. Drake, who has benefited massively from hip-hop and its audience, is now trying to silence the very same culture he claims to represent. But what do you all think about all this? Do you believe Drake is just protecting his brand, or is he genuinely trying to create some sort of change in the industry? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to check out the next video for more on this crazy situation.